Hello, this is Gary Benoit. I'm the inventor of ComputerCut. I'd like to congratulate you on your purchase of the SolarGuard ComputerCut program and the Jaguar plotter. I'm sure it will give you many years of great service and will help to expand your business and increase your income opportunities. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up the Jaguar plotter for cutting window film. I would suggest that you watch the complete video and study it to avoid problems in setting up your system. When you receive your plotter, check the boxes to make sure that there is no damage. If there is any damage, and it might have damaged the plotter itself inside, be sure to refuse the shipment. Once you open the box to the plotter, you should find these parts inside the box. Starting at the upper left is the quick installation guide that'll help you get it set up. The cut pad, which is a plastic strip that goes across underneath the cutting head on the plotter. The installation CD that has the drivers for the Jaguar plotter and the manual and other information. The material cutter, which is like a letter opener that you use to cut the material off on the groove on the front of the plotter. An Allen wrench to help you put the legs together. Tweezers for separating out material. You'll use that when you cut vinyl. We've included 5 25-degree blades for cutting window tint, and also an extra blade holder. The blade holder that is in the plotter already connected in the blade holder carrier is a 45-degree blade, and that is used for vinyl. The 25-degree blades are used for window tint. Down on the lower left, you have the power cord, and then your USB printer cable. You'll be using that with the Jaguar plotter driver. A serial cable, which you probably will not have to use. Media guides and flanges. The flanges can be placed inside the cores of the rolls of material that you have, and then the flanges go in the media guides to help it to track better. The first step you're going to use in setting up the plotter is to put your roll of film on the rollers on the back. You want the liner side to be down and the film side to be up. For this video, I'm using a 40-inch roll, so I'll reach over and grab the film and feed it through the plotter. And what you want is you want your left edge to be over one of the white lines on the outside here and over the cam, and then your right edge on over the white line and the cam on the right side, and then move the pinch rollers that you're going to use. We'll move these out of the way here and put them so that the rubber part of the roller is right on the edge of the film. As you can see here, the right edge of the material, the pinch roller, is right on the edge there, and then over on the left side, the pinch roller is sitting on the left edge of the material. Each one of the pinch rollers on the Jaguar plotters work independently and can each be engaged or disengaged. To engage it, you want it to be up. To disengage it, you push it down. The 2 pinch rollers that you have on each end, you want them to be engaged, because then the plotter will recognize them when you initialize the plotter. So we'll engage this pinch roller here, and the one on the other side is also engaged. Once you position the film in the plotter, make sure the material is tight from the front of the plotter to the roll. Any slack in the material will make it track on an angle through the plotter, and it will come off of the pinch rollers. Once you've done this, you're ready to put the pinch rollers down. So grab the lever and place them down. And when you put the pinch rollers down with the lever, this is the menu that you're going to see. But you want to press the down arrow, which is the edge. And what this will do is there's a sensor on the front of the plotter, and it will see light once the front edge of the material goes past it, and it'll know where the front edge is. So press the down arrow. It'll initialize and go down to the other end of the plotter, and it'll stop on the left edge, feed it back, and then come over to the right edge. Once it initializes, this is what you should see in the menu on the plotter. What this means is the speed is at 72 and your force is at 80, and these are the most important numbers for you to remember. Since it defaults at a speed of 72, that is much too fast for cutting window film, so we want to lower it down. To do this, we go to the online offline button, which is right here, and we press it, and it says offline for system setup. Press the speed button. It shows a speed of 72. We'll hit the down arrow and we'll lower it. You don't ever want to be above 20 for your speed. Hit enter and it will store that. One other thing you want to check for is sometimes from the factory the up speed is also at 72. The up speed is the speed at which the cutting head moves when it is lifted up off of the material. You do not want that to be fast either. So hit your speed button and then hit your select and scroll through until you see the up speed. And as you can see, the up speed is at 72. Again, that's much too fast for window film. And so move it down so that it is equal to your cut speed. If you want, you can make it a little bit faster, but in this case we're going to keep it equal to your cutting speed. Hit enter and that is stored. Next, we want to adjust the force because the force was set at 80, and again, when you first start cutting, you want the force to be as low as you possibly can, and then as the blade starts to dull, you can raise the force up. The force is the amount of pressure that the cutting head puts down onto the material. So it's set at 80, so we'll lower that down. We'll take it down to, say, 30 and hit enter. Now we should be ready to do a test cut. The plotter comes from the factory with a blade holder and a 45-degree blade already in the plotter. The 45-degree blade is used for cutting vinyl and for cutting the clear shield paint protection film. So remove that blade holder from the plotter, and then you should have received an extra blade holder and 5 extra blades, which are 25-degree blades, for tint. You're going to use this blade holder and one of these blades for cutting window film. Before we do a test cut, we want to make sure that the blade is set properly. Now this is a very important part because cutting window film, the plotter cannot just do it through the force. So it's a balancing act between the depth of the blade and the thickness of the material you're cutting. So in this case, we're cutting a NR film, so we want the depth of the blade to be equal to the thickness of the film without the liner. So you do not want it to be out far at all. Once you adjust the depth, go ahead and put it back into the cutting head. Okay, we're now ready to do a test cut. So we hit the cut test button, hit OK, and enter again, and it will do a test cut. Once you do the test cut, it should feed it out, and then the area that did the cut, peel it off. And what you want to be able to do is peel the film off and not cut through the liner. And in the liner, you want to see a little bit of a scratch. If it doesn't cut through, you can raise your pressure up until it does cut correctly, or you can increase the depth of your blade a little bit. It's a balancing act between the depth of the blade and the force. Okay, now that you have it set to the proper depth to cut properly, you want to press the online offline button again to go to offline for system setup. And before you cut, you need to check one other thing. This is a factory default, and sometimes these plotters come through from the factory with an auto feed on it. The auto feed, what that does is it feeds the material out, or the length of what it's cutting, prior to cutting it. When you're cutting window film, you do not want the auto feed on. So to turn it off, hit your miscellaneous button, and you'll see the auto unroll media. Hit your enter, and as you can see, it's enabled. So we want to disable it. So we'll hit the down arrow, and it's disabled, and we'll hit enter, and the auto pre-feed is disabled. Hit your online offline button again, and one more time, and you'll go back to your cutting, and as you can see, the speed is set at 18. The force I ended up using was 80. And now you're ready to cut. Okay, so what do you do if you have a different type of film, such as an HP film? You don't want to have to change these parameters every single time. So with the Jaguar plotter, you can store up to 4 separate different cutting parameters. And the way in which you do that is you go in and hit your online offline button once again, offline for system setup, hit your tool select button, and then hit your up arrow, which will take you to your second storing parameter, and as you can see, it defaults to 72, and in this case it has a force of 55. So all you do is do your changes in there and hit enter, and then when you go back online again, it should show number 2, and then the force that you set and the pressure that you set. And then you can do the same thing for up to 4 different types of material. One final step you want to take before you start cutting is to do what we call a full plotter test cut. Open up the ComputerCut program and go to the database Flat Glass, and then select Model Full Plotter Test Cut, and then into year 40 and 60 inch. And you'll see 2 rectangles here. One is for 40-inch material, the other is for 60-inch material. Since we're cutting 40-inch material, we'll select the rectangle under 40 and hit cut, and it takes it into the plotter dialog window, and select it, and you'll see it's 2 inches by 38 inches in height. It's adjusting for the pinch rollers. What this does is it cuts a rectangle the full width of the material so it gives you a better understanding of how it's going to cut completely across the roll. To just do the test cuts on the plotter does not give you a reading for how it's going to cut completely across the roll. Go ahead and hit the cut button and it'll send it to the plotter to be cut. Once it cuts the rectangle out, peel it out away from the film, and if it peels cleanly, you're good to go for the rest of the day. If it does not, adjust either the pressure or the depth of the blade. We're almost done. One more point. You should always keep extra blades on hand at all times and an extra cut pad. The cut pad can get gouges in it, and if it does, the film will cut in parts and will not cut in other parts. So you will need to replace it. And this is how you do it. Just peel it up with your knife and pull it up. And make sure you get all of the glue with it. Then take a new one and place it in the groove and push it down with your finger. Once you push it all the way down, take the handle of a screwdriver and press it down so that it's nice and even. So that's how you set up cutting window film in the Jaguar plotter. A couple of important points to remember. Cutting window film is a delicate balancing act between the depth of the blade and the force. The depth of the blade must be equal to the thickness of the film without the liner. And the force needs to be as low as possible when you first set it up, and then as the blade becomes dull, go ahead and increase your force. Also, it's very important that the film be tight from the front of the plotter back to the roll, because if it's not and there's any slack in there, the film is not going to track properly. If you have any questions or need any technical help, please give us a call at 800-348-3193 or international +1 561 689 2920. Thank you for watching the video, and if you have any problems, please don't hesitate to call.